Rickie Lee Jones is an American singer, songwriter, and musician. She's from Chicago, Illinois, who's probably best known for her hit single Chucky's in Love. She released her first album in 1979, and she's had a fairly steady output since then, with her 15th studio album coming out in 2023. She's been nominated for 8 Grammys, 2 of which she has won. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of Flying Cowboys by Rickie Lee Jones, which was released in 1989 and was her fourth studio album. So this is a request review by a user going by the name of Jimmy Nutt. Again, he or she, they have been requesting quite a few reviews recently. That's okay. You see, I'm still doing them. Most of the videos on my channel are not request reviews. They are reviews of the 3,000 greatest albums of all time, according to a list at Acclaim Music, which is a great list compiled by amalgamating critic lists from across the years. I set myself a target, which is to review all 3,000. And I started from the bottom and I'm working up. And I'm a bit over a third of the way through. I'm going to be approaching a halfway at sometime in the next year. It's a very slow process. Occasionally, I step off that list, and one of the reasons to do that is to do request reviews. It's really easy to request a review. All you need to do is leave a comment on one of the videos on my channel. Now, because of the way YouTube have changed the way they notify creators about comments on their videos, there is a chance that I'll miss it. So what I do now is when somebody requests a review, is I acknowledge it by replying to that comment. If you don't see a reply within a few days, then I may have missed it. So please try again. And I won't get upset with you if you try again. I do not absolutely guarantee I will always review everything that I've been requested to review for obvious reasons. And occasionally there's even a situation of there's reasons I don't want to tell you why, in which case I just quietly forget about it. So please don't worry. It does sometimes get me a while to get around to doing the request reviews because I'm so busy doing the list reviews that I'm trying to knock out. Right, okay, onto this album then. So this was the fourth studio album. I expected this. Yeah, it was my first time listening to it. I expected this to be more country. And I think the reason for this is, first of all, her name. Rickie Lee Jones sounds like a country singer. I'm not going to lie to you. Secondly, the album title, Flying Cowboys. I think between those two things, I kind of put together this idea. This is probably kind of a country singer-songwriter. I had heard of her, but I haven't really had any contact with her apart from I know Chucky's in Love. So, and it's not. It's particularly country. Instead, I would describe this as being singer-songwriter with hints of folk, jazz, reggae, yes, at times country, but it's much less down that route than I thought. In fact, it's quite diverse. There's quite a lot of different styles in here. It's mostly quite light and gentle. I guess it's kind of pop rocky at times. I was occasionally reminded of Fleetwood Mac, and I think partly that's her voice, which I'm going to refer to in a bit. Partly it's just the production on it. It has that kind of light but quite glitzy feel that Fleetwood Mac often had. So on this album, she plays, well, she's listed as playing synth, organ, guitar, steel drums, drum programming, and then all instruments on one particular track, so it doesn't say what else there. However, despite that, there are 29 more musicians named on this. So there's quite a diversity of sounds, quite a diversity of people playing. And it's all nicely done and nicely put together. It could have been too diverse, but it does tie together because of her voice. Which is kind of the nature of singer-songwriter. I mean, this is 1989, so the kind of heyday, in my mind, of singer-songwriter was kind of the 70s, late 60s, early to mid 70s. And by 1989, it's not so much a thing anymore, but there are still some people doing it, and she's obviously doing it here. Her, her voice, having just mentioned that, is it's strong and it's distinctive and it's quite sweet. It's a little lacking in consonants at times, and again, you might disagree with me, but in my head, it's like a cross between Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac, Joni Mitchell from singer-songwriter, and Sophie B. Hawkins, who is a lesser-known person, but quite a few people know her, who's got a great voice, but very much lacking in consonants. Um, there's also Rickie Lee Jones, a feel of innocence about her voice. It's kind of girl next door feel, if the girl next door happened to be really good at singing, because she is. But so the sound here is the hero, but the songwriting's reasonable. It's not really extraordinary, except the one that sticks out as being a bit unusual is Ghost Train, which is kind of more spoken. It's a kind of weird, kind of jazz fantasy kind of thing, kind of. Um, so my overall impression is I really enjoyed it. It's a nice album. So thanks, Jimmy Nutt, for introducing me to that. There are two Rickie Lee Jones albums on the list. I haven't got to them yet. So I did check before I reviewed this one that it wasn't one of the ones that was already on the list. And I'm curious. So Jimmy Nutt, I'm going to ask you a question, which is, were there particular reasons for suggesting this album? I do like it, but it seemed like a kind of step off some of the other things that you've suggested. So I'm curious. Please share with me why you requested this one. Well, that's a challenge to Jimmy Nutt to reply. Everybody else, I'd love to know what you think of this album. So please do tell me by leaving me a comment. But that's it from me for now.
Well, I decided to take the bus. It was about 6:05, 'cause I could hardly walk. In fact, I was just barely under the bridges over the street. Now every shadow that on me